Hey, the horsemen, the horsemen, the horsemen. Four.
Hey, new picture?
Huh?
New picture?
Hey, so we watching the new, Low Dicky, we got a new show.
Yeah, I've been watching it.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's like Chris, my little brother.
No,
Dicky up?
Savat. Oh, Savat.
Yeah.
Savat.
This guy.
Savat.
Don't sabotage yourself, dude.
Dude, I'm not sabotaging nothing. What language?
7.
7. We are your 4 horsemen. My name is Claudio. My name is Yanni. I was thinking about it. My name is Yanni. To my left,
My name is Claudio.
And to his right, Arlen. And to my right,
Malcolm.
there it is.
there you go. We are the 4 horsemen of sales. Cheers.
Horsemen.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Another episode.
Another episode.
The books.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, Malcolm.
All right. Today, episode 7. Today we're going to be talking about. Guys, can you guys focus, man? Today we're talking about work-life balance. Okay, does it exist, and how can it relate to you, your business, your career, whatever? Right?
Yep.
You guys excited about this episode?
Excited.
I'm very excited to hear what AGM has to say on this one.
That is true. I am too.
It's a very debatable topic.
Wowzers.
I love
I'm
it.
excited to see what Yanni has to say about this one.
Me? Oh, man, it's going to be pretty simple.
This is going to be really
Work-life balance. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to each one of us? And really, ultimately, before we can even talk about if it exists or not, we got to talk about,
The quote, man.
Man,
He
this guy is
coming on. I know. I always
consistent,
forget.
man.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if we should do the quote in the beginning.
No, it's important because that's what kind of relates. Yes.
You gotta be ready, man.
Oh,
Always be prepared,
He's trying
bro.
to change
He
things
always
up.
forgets.
Sorry, we'll remind him. Don't worry.
So obviously there's many different things you could say about how to put this in perspective, but how about this one for you guys? CEO of Yahoo, Marissa Mayer. You can't have everything you want, but you can have the things that really matter to you. So, that we probably can go in on that quote for a while.
Their faces were priceless. Repeat that again one more time, man.
I was wondering if it was the end of the quote yet. Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought
Sorry.
there was more.
Say it again?
No. So,
One more time.
I gotta dial in for this one.
All right.
You can't have everything you want, but you can have the things that really matter to you.
Okay.
So think about that for a second.
Tell us what you interpret there.
You can't have everything you want.
I mean, is work-life balance even possible? I don't know.
That is what is she saying on that?
What are you saying, Malcolm?
At the end of the day, work-life balance it's all predicated on, hey, what's important to you. That's really what it's about, because
One more time. Say it one more time.
so I said, all right, you can't have everything you want, so you cannot have everything you want,
Okay.
but you can have the things that really matter to you.
Let's see. I think maybe saying you can't do it all. Like I think you try, but you gotta.
I think that's suggesting that there is no work. I mean, we can look at it multiple different ways, I guess. I don't know.
No, there is what I feel like you can't have you have all these. You can't do everything because ultimately you can only have so much time. You can only focus on what's truly important to you.
Yeah, you gotta
And that's-
prioritize.
yeah.
Well, who defines who defines
What's important?
what is work-life balance, right? And I'm saying, she's saying you can't have everything you want, but if you have everything that matters to you, then it is everything you want.
And that's work-life balance to you. If you have everything you want.
Yeah. So that's
I
why.
think the opposite. I think that suggests that you can't have work-life balance when you say that quote. Because a work-life balance says, I want to be successful at work and boom, 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 whatever. I want to be at the top of my game in my work, but I also want to spend every quality time I have with my family. So if I was to dissect that quote, kind of.
So I guess you can maybe also ask in that your theory there.
Yeah.
What is being successful mean?
There you go. I think that's the deeper question.
Man,
Yeah.
deep guys,
There we
deep.
go.
So I guess that also transitions well
It's a good
into our first question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does life outside of work mean to, I guess, various people? Mean to you,
Yeah.
or mean to, you know, people in different circumstances?
Yeah.
Claude?
You want me to start?
That's why he calls your name.
All right. No, so work-life balance. I mean, what is it?
What's work like? Does life outside of work mean?
Outside of work
people?
is doing things that you enjoy doing. I mean, at the end of the day, like, you gotta find extracurricular activities that you find fun, that you enjoy doing, that you're passionate about, and ultimately, in my case, in my transition in life, I want to do more things with my family. I want to be there for my nieces, my nephews. I want them to remember me growing up. I don't want them to be like, I don't remember any memories with you. And to me, that was a reality check, and having the opportunity to move back into the D.C. area and have that relationship again, it means the world to me.
Yeah.
But it could mean something completely different for somebody else. And those are the things that I cherish the most, and making sure that I'm having that outside of work passion, and also having fun and being with you guys and in those relationships. So
Nice.
that's my input on that.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know we were talking about this. I guess we were talking about how we would love to hear what Alam said. Like, so there's different people because Alam's got a family, like actually, kids and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's totally different than my case.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Where my responsibilities are very limited. Like, I don't have kids.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't have, like, that's not for
Not
me
yet.
outside of work. Not yet. Yeah, outside of work. Damn, I don't know. Gosh.
Not yet.
That's what he's saying.
What's the news?
No,
news, bro?
breaking news
Oh
here.
Episode 7.
So, like,
He's in trouble now.
so, that's crazy.
Just joking.
joking.
Seriously, just joking.
No,
So a person that has a family would totally define what life outside of work means, and somebody that's single, no kids and whatnot, like that, like that's a different work-life balance than somebody like that, like somebody like in your situation.
No, you're right. And I jokingly said not yet because hey, I too was there, right? I think most of us are gonna go through our different phases. But for me, what life means outside of work is 1,000% spending time with my kids, my wife, right? And being able to cherish those moments because, hey, as your kids are growing, there's different stages in their life that I'm beginning to realize they usually don't want to miss. I'm not in the stage right now where there's a lot of sports involved, this, that, and the other, but there's a lot of accolades like her first walk, her first word, her first, these little things. So that you always want to, at least for me, I feel like, to me, that's what's important right now for me outside of work. It's being able to cherish and foster those relationships because it's extremely important. It's very valuable. Because you want to make sure that you're not a surprise guy that just comes home every now and then, right? So for me, that's extremely important. I value that, and for me, what's exciting for me right now, Ayana's in her stage of her life right now where she hears the doorbell, right, or she hears the garage opening. She quickly runs to the rail, where my entrance is.
Yeah.
She quickly runs, peeks over to see who's there, and then she sees me. She says, "Daddy!" And so then she runs on the other side, meets me on the other way to greet me. Like that, to me, is what I look forward to, right? So that's what, for me, what.
Can we also make sure we make this known? Who was her favorite uncle?
Oh my God.
Like, for real,
There's really
come on.
there's very little
We
to
can
debate here.
we can FaceTime her right now and let's just see who she smiles at.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, there's
Just say it. Don't be scared.
Yo,
Just say it. Let him talk.
There's very little to do. I mean,
He spent more time here recently.
Just relax, guys. Don't be defensive. Let him answer the question.
Hey,
Who is Ayana's favorite uncle?
Uncle Yanni, man.
Uncle Yanni.
It rolls off your tongue too. Uncle Yanni.
Did she get the sophomore title?
She actually did spend I don't know, man, because you come over a little bit more too. So
I mean,
But like you can't
you
can't say hold on. Are you saying
it's true.
like
this? I'm
if
going on
you spend more
blast.
time, it's because I made time.
Yeah,
You know, I made time.
He did make time.
Exactly.
So-
Like you can't say she spent more time. Why don't you? Like you probably went to this house one time.
Listen,
Right?
listen,
Wow.
listen.
Hey, this is not about that.
This is
guys.
not about that.
I know, but I just
And
want to get that straight.
I was on the road last week.
Oh my god.
I was a road again.
the
Can we play
road.
that music?
All right, so we'll just leave it at that. I'm your favorite uncle. But Ma, what's your kind of take on what does the life outside of work for mean?
Yeah,
for
I mean,
various
the
people?
common theme is.
Working out.
Hey, the common theme is
Gotta stay
hey,
active.
making sure you're proactive about who you spend your time with, right? And the balance or what's life look like outside of work. It's all predicated on what's important to you. So there's your health. So whatever you're doing for that piece, there's your relationships, and with all of it, it's going to take a level of time you got to put into it. So for me, obviously, it's just making sure that I'm extremely proactive about reaching out to the ones that don't live here, right? Like the twin sister. Shout out to Yodi.
Shout out to
Right.
the Yodis.
Dang,
And,
y'all messed up on that one.
But
Yeah,
You're not the
yeah,
favorite
yeah.
brother.
Of course.
I'm not. I'm just.
It's not on
That's
that
her twin. Something would be wrong if she liked me more than her twin.
Yeah, man. I already have a problem with Ayana liking Yanni more, which is still debatable. But yeah,
Is
man,
it?
it's
Is it debatable?
It's
All
debatable.
right,
It's
I
debatable.
lose on this conversation.
He's not gonna get on the
Down
fence
either
by
way.
the You try to go
Don't make me do it.
But above and
Sure.
beyond, it's spending time with the ones that you love and care for the most. And I think to that quote, it's whatever really matters to you is what your life looks like outside of work.
Yeah, I mean,
And if you keep it's everybody has different priorities, right? And so as long as they're aware of that and they respect that, you can start getting a good idea of what work-life balance means.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can agree with the statement that when you're younger, you're more individual in the sense of like time outside of work. It's just to you. Like so, I would say, and again, ultimately as you're growing, you would not think yourself as, oh man, I really need time outside of. I need that work-life balance when you're younger, right? Because I mean, sometimes you don't need as much time. When it's just by yourself, you just need sometimes just the time to wind down or whatnot. So it doesn't may not depend on. I mean, may not mean that you need a full day or this and that type of thing. I mean, I think as you get a family and whatnot, that's when it really becomes important that you're there, whether it be different events and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like I know as going through my like, in terms of my career, like when you're starting out, for me, like we can kind of get more into this, but like I never thought of work-life balance like I need, like that's something I need. Like it was just more of, okay, I have some time off, that's good. All right, maybe this, an hour or two.
To me, I feel like the work-life balance comes into effect more when you feel like work is work.
Yes.
You get what I mean? I feel like if you enjoy what you're doing and you set out the time to put into work during that time, it's not really like truly work, and sometimes it could go into that
Highly agree.
the other side of the after work. You know what I mean? But if you're passionate about what you do, and that's something later on now that I'm now realizing later in my stage is being part of something that you believe in and that you're passionate about when you're selling. You know what I mean? When we're as sales reps, you think you can sell anything, you can do anything, and you're going to be happy, or I'm going to chase the most money or whatnot. But if you're not passionate about it, or you don't, it's not something you dream about, or you're waking up about, or different things like that, then that's something that you're going to struggle, and it's going to be more work, and then you're going to be more of like, I need that, I need that work-life balance kind of thing. I feel like that's when that comes into play.
That's a real good point. We also live in a day and age, at least say, whether it's salespeople or the people that really have aggressive goals, they're probably thinking they're not doing enough. Yeah. Right? So when you look at your life outside of work, sometimes you're trying to fill it up with, hey, I guess what would be looked at as more work, but it's you just trying to get ahead, right? Or you going for something bigger, right? And I think that's what sometimes is not always understood, and I think it's important that, when people do know what you're passionate about, in a special case, like if it's sales, it doesn't matter what entrepreneurship or what you're trying, what your passion is. If you communicate that, then everyone knows that, hey, this is, he's doing, he or she's doing what they love, and if you can incorporate your family into that, I think it can play out better versus anyone making assumptions about it. So,
I mean, so I'll take, if it doesn't feel like work, right, then that work-life balance is different. But let's say you're married, right? Regardless of how much you love what you do, exactly. Regardless of how it makes you feel,
it makes it harder. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
it does.
Regardless of oh great, you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, but you still have to put in that time with your family, right?
Yeah, you gotta prioritize, and everybody's different. You gotta build that schedule. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. Think about it. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. You have to, certain things that I do, like, hey, this is your day with Sarah. I say, hey, this is your day. Meaning, like, 100%, I'm not going to be working. I'm not going to answer these emails, different things. That's something I do exclusive to her, and she appreciates it more that I do that because she understands how passionate I am when it comes to what I do for work. Yeah. But that's something that the boundaries that we set within our relationship and what's going on.
Yeah.
Everybody's relationship is different, and what boundaries and what you want to do, because she also is a nurse, so she's off on, during the weekdays, when she's not off on the weekends. So I have to prioritize that time in order for our relationship to grow and make it work. So like I said, everybody's relationship's a little different, but that's where my perspective comes in on that aspect.
I think I'm hearing two things, right? So I think on one part, even though you're passionate about what you do, there's still a work-life balance there. To
Correct.
your point, you're setting aside this, that, and the other. But to the other thing that you were saying, as far as like finding something that you're passionate about doing, I think that addresses something even bigger, which is mental health, right? Which is a hot topic.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Hot topic. So a lot of times people associate mental health and work-life balance almost one and the same, when truly I think it's kind of different, right? Because if I'm stuck into something that I'm doing that I don't really like, it's causing me stress or this or that, hey, that's,
And to piggyback off what you're saying, a lot of the times that comes off of outcomes.
Yep.
So with work, if you're not getting the outcome you're wanting.
When you say outcome, you're talking about
like the end results.
Yeah, end results.
Yeah, if you're not producing,
we're in that instant,
not just production, but the results of getting production.
Yeah, we're in that,
so like
in
making
that world
money because you produced X.
of Instagram and different things where we see the highlights, everybody's highlights.
Yeah.
And so when you're working, you're like, man, I should be getting this, I should be doing this, you start making yourself feel that way, and that's where you said the mental health. You're not seeing the outcome right away, or you're not sticking to the game plan that you laid out, and that's where things start to crumble.
Yeah, and sometimes with the mental health aspect of it, if you can address that, it may give you a different perspective on what you're doing.
Correct.
And that's where that balance needs to come in, at least in my opinion, right? So you can be as passionate about what you want, but it gets to a certain point where if you're not producing, if you're not having the right outcome, this, that, and the other, it can go south real quick. So,
So So we talked about what life outside of work may mean for various people. Let's talk about, does it exist? Does it really truly exist? Whether it be for a salesperson, entrepreneur, when you look at it as like for a corporate job, you can see the actual, the lines of when you go to work, when you're not at work, when you're corporate, right? Mm-hmm. Versus a salesperson or entrepreneur specifically as well. Does that exist? Work-life balance. And I'll give you guys this. It's, for me, I've always struggled with the fact of, you read about these successful people that have built these companies or have built a great life for themselves in terms of in their career, and they talk about, you've read things like, I didn't take they say I didn't take a vacation for years. I didn't take a day off, type of thing. So when I was trying to build your DMV team and just trying to get it up and really just trying to build that brand, right, and making it run, like, yeah, you want to enjoy life, but like you also need to sacrifice. For me, so I always struggle with like, okay, well, I want to enjoy life, but like I have to put in the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, and I always thought about like, for me, to be honest with you, I never, and I still don't know where I lie specifically, but I don't think it as an entrepreneur, I don't know where it exists or if it does exist, because there's a level of action that you have to put in to be successful.
Yeah.
And so
I think if you can define what that means, because I can say that, hey, you know, as an entrepreneur, yeah, you grind more than anyone else out here, right? Let's just say, right? Because your phone is always on, this, that, and the other. But you know, outside of that, socially, you're still involved in certain things that can, you know, provide both the fun, if you will, and the work. So that sometimes is a substitute that I think that could. Subconsciously
and
play as a balance.
And so like, and to his point, I've never looked at it as like, oh my God, I'm working.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm never like something.
Yeah. When you're having fun and you pick, that's what I'm trying to say. As you go on as sales reps or whatever you're doing, when you decide to flip that switch to be an entrepreneur, you finally figure it out. When you go entrepreneur, think about it. You figure it out like, hey, this is what I want to do. You're passionate about it. You're gonna go for it. Same thing with sales reps. When you finally go to a company or different, even if you're in the corporate world, you finally figure out something you enjoy doing. It's not going to be work anymore. You're fun. You're like, I remember when we were back in Verizon days, some of the best years that I had was the time we were number one selling at Turkey Creek. We're number one in the country in Tennessee selling everything. But we loved coming in to work together. We would come in on our day off just to come in to work.
Well, the work atmosphere is different when you're having fun.
But yeah, but you didn't have like for me, like it was starting. I didn't have a family. Like it wasn't like there was not a specific thing that I had to choose from. Like it wasn't like, okay, I have to either do this or like spend time with like family, like or this and that.
Yeah.
Like it was like so like at that point as in your life too, you didn't have responsibilities like the days off. Like you're not coming in the days off if you have those responsibilities.
I just think it depends. It depends.
It makes it a lot easier.
It makes it easier to come in because you're enjoying what you're doing.
Because you don't have to even think about it. And plus,
well, I'll put it this way: if you got
example, there was people with families still coming in
the same
that were in the same.
But those same people won't be coming in if the production wasn't there.
Exactly. Back to the outcome.
So
when you're having fun and you have something going on, it's not work anymore. It's literally we were having like challenges between each other that made each other better. That we knew we can accomplish this goal. We knew what the outcome was going to be, and we loved it. And it was embedded, and we just kept doing it. It just kept repeating itself.
Here.
Oh
no, it's not.
No, I know exactly what you're about to say.
What?
It's a quote, and it's about.
I want you. Look, I want you to hear this, and I want to hear because I want to hear your opinion on this. It's the cost of ambition, right? It says late nights, early mornings, lots of associates, very few friends. You will be misunderstood. You could be single longer unless you find somebody lucky enough to understand your lifestyle.
Yes.
People will want you to do good, but never be better than you or better than them.
100%.
And for these reasons, you'll do many things alone.
100%.
So, like, I think, you know, because look, you have to study the people that are very, very successful. You know, the examples. Everybody has different inspirations, regardless of what you're going after. But there's the law of trade-offs. You know, and so Clyde, you were saying, hey, it just depends because the person with the family, maybe he was showing up for a different reason. It's not because he was neglecting the family or he wasn't going to spend time with his family.
His wife was coming in for the family.
Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah, I think it ultimately goes down to, hey, is the person purpose driven? What's the purpose? Because if that trade off and the outcome that it brings is worth it, then eventually, somebody is thankful. Maybe someone, and I'm not saying you always have to sacrifice time, but you'd be delusional if you didn't think that there was a sacrifice.
There's always a sacrifice.
And that's one of the reasons why I think this work-life balance thing, people go back and forth on.
And from that quote you said, where you find somebody fortunate enough.
That's huge.
That understands.
That's huge. Yeah, because if you don't have, like, I wouldn't be where I'm at. A lot of people don't realize this. Sarah's like one of my trainers. Like, I'm role playing with her. There's different things I did to get where I'm at. I'm running things by her. Does this make sense? All this
think
stuff.
about it.
She's always, and she can probably be right here, right now, but people don't know behind the scenes. That's what you gotta have. You gotta have.
Shout out to Sarah B.
Yeah, you gotta have
So
a
look
partner.
at that. That's quality time that you spent hours and hours and hours, but it was related to you getting better, right?
Would you consider that quality time though?
That's a tough question.
That is a tough.
But no, she
It's
would.
time.
She would, because she understands the mission and our goal that we want to.
And I think she does. Like, ultimately, to be honest, like, that's you have to have the people around you that have the same values and are purpose driven about the same things.
For sure.
Like your life will be hell if that other person, whether it be family, your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the case may be, is not on the same. Not even the same. Doesn't even need to understand the intricacies of what you do, but actually knows what it takes, the grind. Understands that there's got to be some level of sacrifice to create the lifestyle that you guys want. There has to be that. You have to be on the same page, and if you can't, ultimately, I promise you, is values.
And just to clarify too, it's a give and take too. There was times when she's going to school, I was helping her study for what she was doing to get to get where she's at. So
for nursing, you were helping her study for nursing?
as much as I could. As much as I could. No, seriously.
What's this one called? What's
Well,
here?
hey, I'll say this. I mean, when you talk about somebody that, a lot of times what we don't think about, we associate work, right, as something that you go to do to earn money. There's also another thing that's work too that I'm learning about now, and that is, hey, with my wife, right, she's working too, but at the same time, she's home with 2 kids, like 24/7, right? When you talk about needing a balance, I mean, when you think about that, like that,
Yes.
I till this day, I still don't know how she does it. Like, I don't. Like, you're constantly, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have 2 humans that 1,000% rely on you, and they need your attention. So even if we talk about, like, hey, yeah, we're working, but we're going to spend time with this, that, and the other, well, that individual needs that balance too.
Like, it's crazy.
Right? So for me, like, real talk, for me, like, it's not just about the work that's spending time with them, but it's also try to give her a little bit of time too.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So I think that's another perspective that we have to understand, and that goes to what you guys are saying, is finding that one person that understands what you do, and you two understanding what,
we all come from, we would all agree that all our mothers, right? Mm-hmm. That the level of respect that we have because of, we're trying to figure out, man, how do they do, like, you talk about work, there's the things you do at work, but what happens when we meet, because I think, because we come from families and we've seen the right example as what our mothers have done. Mm-hmm. Anytime, what happens when we get a family that comes in and we're introducing ourselves and, we ask, hey, so what do you do for work? I get sometimes vice versa, right? But one says, they're out there trading hours for dollars, and maybe the mother says, hey, I'm a homemaker, right? And automatically we're like, hey, well, you're working 10 times harder.
Yeah. And
the husbands sometimes, if that's the role, they're like, for sure, they're quick to acknowledge that because, they don't ever stop working.
Oh no, their job.
And when you look at work-life balance and you take it to that level, I mean, we're as long as you're well aware,
for sure,
you can acknowledge it the right way. So,
sure.
So, just to piggyback and skip what Yanni's probably gonna say next.
What's that?
What advice would you give, Alan?
He was ready.
Nice.
Advice, techniques. I guess what works for you.
What works for you? I mean, you personally. I mean, so there's no obviously no right or wrong.
To create a
Yeah,
work.
for sure. And I think you guys kind of already mentioned it. Is like whoever your significant other is having a goal in mind and knowing that the actions that we're taking is 1,000% to attain that goal, right? And I think also as an individual, whoever it is, whether it be the wife that's predominantly working or the husband that's predominantly working, that individual needing to make sure they understand what the other person's going through. Like, I think if you don't understand each other, like purely understand what the other person's going through, it's gonna be tough, right? So I think it's having a 100% understanding of one another.
Yeah.
And that to me, I think it's what's at least helping me go through this process and so on and so forth. But that's my take on it.
No.
Yeah. What's the question? The technique?
Advice.
My advice.
Come on, man, listen up.
So, yeah, my advice. I mean, one, I'd say you gotta learn to create time versus manage it. Right. That's one of the things that I've learned across, along my way. Meaning, hey, whatever's important to you, don't use time. Don't use I don't have time as an excuse. Like, create that time. Make that time.
Well, if you use that excuse, it's not important to you.
Yeah, I was waiting
Exactly.
for the quote. I actually wrote it down here. If it's important to you, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse.
There it is. But so many people, you want to use time as an excuse, and you say I don't have time for this because whatever else is occupying your time. I've learned that, and one of the things that can help you create time versus manage it is, Clyde, you talk so much about creating a plan or having a routine, right? And when you can get consistent with that, helps you that will help you balance the whole work-life balance thing. And I really do believe, whoever's in the relationship with you, like, what's both important to you, but you guys have to take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to, man, you're only as good as, you can't be so good to others if you're beating yourself up. Yeah. So you got to take care of yourself, and vice versa, whoever's in that game with you. So those two things, I think, can go a long way.
I'll add one more thing, man, is gratitude. Right? I think that's a big one. Like, being grateful for what the other person's doing.
Yeah.
Big time.
You can never say enough thank yous, right? So, just
big time.
Being grateful.
Acknowledging, yeah. Big time.
Being grateful for what that person's doing, and if you can understand what that person's doing, and be grateful for what that person's doing, I think it makes everything much easier, for sure.
Yeah.
Yanni.
Mine is, first and foremost, you have to understand that, we talk about work-life balance, but in order to be successful, you gotta work your ass off. You can't offset that. Like, there's gotta be a level of work and then sacrifice that you gotta do. So, you have to put in the work. But one thing that I've learned as I've kind of grown, especially in my business and just kind of career, is you gotta be purposeful in your actions. There is, not the theory, but they say that the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the actions that you take are going to be, that's what's going to produce 80% of the results. Find out what that 20% is and focus on that. That way you're purposeful. And so two same people can go in the office and spend 8 hours, right? Or one person spends 8 hours, okay? And I could spend 2 hours and I could be more efficient and do the things, right? We talk about, so just give you an example in real estate, right? Like, there's some people that think just because they're busy, they come in the office, they're working on, making sure their business card looks great or their website looks great, making sure, that the headshot is perfect. All those things do not produce any action, don't produce any results. I can be in the office for 2 hours, make 100 calls, and reap so much benefits from that, and be out the office and I'm much more efficient. So find out, focus on exactly what that 20% is, and then focus on that. For those that are single, that don't have responsibilities, ultimately this is your time to shine. Like, you got to be after it. Those that have more responsibilities, you got to understand your responsibility, because that's important as well. and really hone in on that 20%. So I think understanding what your 20% is, and then really focus on being efficient. Yeah. And that's what's really important.
That's well said, man.
Very well said. No, I mean, just to piggyback off this whole episode, I feel like it's needed and really needs to be addressed that, hey, just because you're listening to this podcast or, you know, you're spending the time listening to this during your off time maybe, or you're going to work or whatnot, we appreciate that. But the biggest thing is you got to remember the end goal at the end of the day of what you want to accomplish, the outcome you want to see, and reverse engineer it. I've always said this, and when you do that and you have a partner that agrees with what the outcome needs to be, it makes things a lot easier. So obviously, you know, tidbit on, you know, relationships and different things on a personal side, find that partner that values what you bring to the table and wants to help you achieve that goal at the same time, and vice versa. You got to be there for them too. And then of course, family. Man, I love my family, and that's one of the reasons. I mean, you guys are my family, and this is not work. This is fun for me, and I feel like we have a lot to offer, and we got to get this out of the way. Where, hey, you know, that work-life balance can be achieved regardless, and it's just a matter of what you're willing to sacrifice. What Yanni said earlier. And figuring that aspect out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Good stuff, guys. I think that's good stuff here. Again, what were you
I was
going to
say? AGM should let the people, the viewers, know what to expect with future episodes.
Yeah.
Hey, come on now.
Come on,
AGM.
Because here's the thing. We want to make sure we're helping our audience get better, achieve, you know, be resilient, motivated, and skilled. I feel like the upcoming episodes.
Yeah, I mean, you can expect over the next few episodes we'll be discussing, you know, top habits, forming techniques, what are habits, the importance and the value of habits. We're also going to be discussing as far as what does a book and a movie do for your production. So we're going to tap into that, talk about recommendations and why they're important. We're also going to talk about how to handle objections. This is extremely important to understand.
Very big.
This is huge. For all the salespeople out there, you know, you hear it all the time. Are they complaints? Are they objections?
Conditions.
Conditions.
What are they?
We'll adjust those big time. Hey, you know, resources in your industry. What has been a game changer? How to create rapport, so on and so forth. So we got a whole list of things. Also, just to kind of throw it out there for the audience. If you have something that you want us to talk about or highlight, make sure you comment on our YouTube channel. Make sure you give us your feedback. Definitely look forward to hearing back from you guys.
If you think you should be a guest on this,
maybe.
I'm going to have to vet you. I have to vet you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And hey, shout out to any future sponsors as well.
Absolutely.
We got a few more spots available for this season, so if you're looking at...
We got some big sponsors coming through.
Big sponsors already locked in, so we got only a couple more left for those individuals that want to take advantage of some of the sponsorship opportunities.
Absolutely.
Cody,
cold calling. Really going to address that a little bit deeper. Kind of simplify the message a little bit more.
Get the perfect script.
Getting past the gatekeepers. I hate using that terminology, but that's the terminology that's out there. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff that we want to make sure we're helping you guys at the same time while you're listening to us, and at the same time we're sharpening our skills too.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to follow.
Subscribe.
Don't forget to
like,
share,
review us. Okay,
all of the above.
Out on all podcasts every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
We're out on iHeartRadio now, so
iHeartRadio.
Hopefully we'll be on Apple.
We'll be on Apple.
No, I'll be on there. I'll be on there. We have some technical difficulties.
Sorry about that, guys.
Technical difficulties.
We'll be there soon.
We'll be on all podcasts, guys. Leave us a review. We want to hear from you. Again, like Alam said, any business owners, anybody that wants to get a sponsorship opportunity, please shoot us a message and we'll give you the details and whatnot. But again, I'm Yanni.
I'm Claudio.
Alam.
Malcolm.
And we are the Four Horsemen of Sales. We are out.
All right, there it is.
All our powers combined.